All right, so we are recording. So I don't really have anything this week. I was going to talk a bit about the free Hrefs, however you want to say it. I don't even know the proper pronunciation. But first, I guess I can open it up to any questions. So Sydney, this is your first time coming, yes?
Second. I've only been once. I caught the very end of one a couple months ago.
Okay, so just to we do this, if I don't know if you got that from the last time you were here. So we do this every Friday and we alternate. So like this week is 10 a.m. Next week will be noon. We just go back and forth like that. And it's usually just like a free for all. Like you saw, sometimes we start off while we're waiting, talking about random stuff. But as far as the blogging, I normally don't actually have like a training topic. I mean, every now and then I will, but for the most part, it's just a, hey, everybody show up and whatever you got, let me have it kind of thing.
That's great.
So, who else we got?
I came with some questions for you.
Okay, good. I got Jeannie, she's in my boot camp. Joyce in my boot camp. Nicole. Hi, Nicole. I think maybe she's just listening in. So yeah, who wants to go first? I guess we'll let Sydney go first since Jeannie and Joyce are both getting me full-time in the boot camp. I'm sure your questions will have to do with more of that anyway. So what do you got for me, Sydney?
So, well, I just finished the SEO course. They're kind of all over the place, but I guess the biggest one right now, I'm doing like my keyword research and planning out my content calendar. And I'm using like the Ahrefs, and then I'm also using the keywords everywhere. And I'm just kind of trying to determine like what keywords might be too competitive. So like my realm is like faith and wellness and fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of trying to figure out like what type of, because I took your affiliate marketing course too. And I'm trying to figure out like what product posts might be best for me. And like when I look up, like I wrote down, for example, like I do CrossFit. So I like have written about some CrossFit stuff, like best shoes for CrossFit. Of course, advertisements are what pops up, you know, from Reebok and Nike and stuff like that. So, or like even when I type in like best workout equipment for home, you know, it's like the advertisement. So I'm curious if keywords like that are just too competitive and I should just kind of veer away from that. And also like what type of product posts I could be writing.
So I'm looking at this one now. So the thing with the ads, don't worry about that so much because I know when I search, I scroll past the ads to the actual.
Yeah.
So you got to take that into consideration. And so don't let that be a deterrent factor, right?
Okay.
This one is a higher, you will have a little more competition for this particular one, best use for CrossFit, simply because you're going to be competing. So you see that the beyond the ads, the ones that are on page one are like running, like running all day sites. Like they're all about running, right? Runner's World kind of stuff, Gear Junkie.
Right.
So I would say for this particular one, shoes specifically, any kind of shoes, that one probably would be very hard to rank for that simply because of the competition and with what we call niche sites. These are niche sites like Gear Junkie. That's a niche site all about gear for people in sports and whatever, right?
Okay.
So you can start laying the foundation for those with some other. So, I mean, I don't know if there's, let me see. Well, people don't really read books anymore for fitness. Trying to think. So fitness, wellness, like what kind of things in wellness?
Like mental health type stuff. Are you like a product? Is that more what you're thinking about? See, I was thinking like books, or I really don't even know what type of products I would do. I guess like anti-stress, like supplements, or
I would
like
say
self-care products.
Yeah, self-care for sure. Anything along the lines of books is good because fairly easy to rank when you do product posts that are book related.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, books. Well, about 10 years ago, I would say DVDs, but nobody really buys those anymore.
Right.
Um, let me see. The supplements, not saying don't do them, but don't make that a big part of it, because like try a
Yeah.
few and see what happens, because you're competing with commerce sites that sell that
Right.
stuff, right? Yeah. There are, coaching programs, like just as an example, and I don't know if you go this direction, but like one of my members, she does mindful meditation. She's a Christian blog, so not like
Mhm.
the other way of meditation, yoga, like, but the Christian way
Right.
of it. And
Yeah.
she actually has things, her own, like coaching and like a video series where she goes through it with you. She has stuff like that, and she has an affiliate program. So looking out for other kind of bloggers in that general wellness niche to see what kind of
Yeah.
products they offer, which is great
Okay.
because you're supporting other bloggers, other creators. I said
Okay.
books.
I can do that.
Anything in the self-care. There's a lot of self-care, especially books. There's a lot in the self-care, planners,
Okay.
self-care kind of planners, self-care kits. Also, a really good one is Crate Joy. They are on share sale. I can get the link for it. Well, let's just put runners. No, exercise, fitness. You know how they say we got an app for that? Well, Crate Joy has a box for that. And so doing research on things like for runners. So this would be in line. So there's a lot based on your wellness, your fitness, or, all the different things.
Right.
There's a significant search volume, people looking for that, right? Gift
So
box.
then would I just write a post like about that box?
No, just the best subscription boxes for runners. It would be like a roundup. So it's not focusing on a particular one. It's not a review post. It's just a, hey, here's some options for you kind of post.
Some different options. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what I call a product post. It's not focusing. It's not a review. You don't actually have to have bought the box to be able to say something. You're just rounding up options for somebody looking for ideas in that. There's.
What about the runners' outfits and things like that?
That one you would be competing with commerce sites like clothing stores. So it'd be really hard to rank for that kind of stuff.
Oh,
unless your site exclusively or had a significant portion of content that was clothing based content. So just research in your niche different subscription boxes and get specific wellness boxes. There's that one was $7.20 self-care subscription box.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
I've kind of wondered. Yeah. I've wondered kind of the same thing as Joyce, because like I made one post on like the top, like Amazon fitness clothes of 2021 or something like that. And, obviously when I look up top Amazon fitness clothes, it's Amazon. But
put Amazon in the title. Yeah.
Right. And the post seemed to do well on Pinterest because I did like a photo with like, some of the clips of like the different pictures of the clothes, but I figured that probably wouldn't be good for SEO, those type of
posts.
When
you're focused on things like that, don't put Amazon, because then that keyword is competing with Amazon, who pays for advertising for its own keywords. So just if you do things like that, the best whatever for whatever, it can all be Amazon links inside it, but don't advertise it as the best things to find on Amazon, just the best things of this particular thing.
That helps so much. Thank you. Okay. Very helpful.
All right. Who's next? Anybody? Y'all know if you
I
don't give
do.
me stuff to talk about, I'll go off talking about my garden again.
While we're on that topic, I do have kind of somewhat a related question. So I make a lot of printables. Is it smarter to leave the word printable out of like your title? Because as I do research, like I see when I put in like, fitness PDF or fitness printable, at the top, it's usually like actual PDFs that you can click on that pop up. So I feel like maybe those would be the first things that people click on. Like, is it better to just leave printable out of the title?
So give me an example of one specific.
Okay, let me pull up my site real quick. So I guess like, for instance, I wrote one post on journaling prompts for anxiety relief. And I didn't put the word printable in the title, but there is a printable in the post. So is it best to do it that way? Or is it best to, like, would you say if people are specifically looking for, printable or PDF?
No, so when for something like this, well, this has no search volume for one. So you might want to focus it towards a different search volume, but the journaling prompt, well, this has journaling prompts for anxiety and depression. I guess that's how people are talking about it. I mean, I guess that would be
It's interesting because it had volume when I first searched it.
Right.
That's weird.
Well, basically, you're not going to make the title about the printable, but you should have a line item about the printable. So like these words that show over here on the side, if they relate to your thing, these are phrases that people search for. So somewhere in your post, you need to have that keyword.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one with the printable or PDF, is that what you're saying?
Right. So like this one is journaling prompts for journaling prompts for anxiety, PDF. I mean, there's zero volume on it, but still it's on the list. And so the more of these kind of things that you have, especially along with these questions and stuff, no matter what someone's searching for, if it has to do with journaling for anxiety, even if they're not looking for prompts or PDFs, just the journaling for anxiety, that could rank. But then these lesser search queries, if a random person does search that, it'll rank for that as well.
Okay. So like the PDF or the printable wouldn't necessarily be what I'm trying to get them to come into the post for, but just something maybe to get them as like an email subscriber or just an extra freebie to give them from the post.
Correct.
More so.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to make it as the primary reason they're coming because nobody's looking for it. Like that would be writing something that there's no customers for, right?
Okay.
But it's listed here. So that means there has been some search, but not enough. So these search volumes are basically, it's history. So over a 12-month period divided by 12, this is about the average of monthly searches, give or take, because some months are more, some months are less. But on average, over a few period of years, I don't know what the period is, this is the mean, the average. And so if it's not enough to be, I think the lowest you'll ever see is 10 over that period, then it'll put 0. But if it's here, somebody has searched for it, but not enough for that to be the specific purpose of the post.
Okay.
But it should still be mentioned because it all ties it back together to the original purpose of the post. And that's how you're able to rank that particular post for all the variations of what somebody might be looking for, whether it's 500 people or one person, right?
Okay.
Either way, they search it, this post will come up. And then, if they're looking for journaling prompts, let's say, then if you're looking for that, it would be great to have a PDF printable or whatever, but they didn't go looking for the PDF printable. They're looking for just the prompts themselves, and having it printable just makes it that much better.
Okay. So would you say that like the main topic that I'm revolving it around, like, is that considered like my main keyword? I know that we don't write just around one keyword, but just like, I guess I've always looked at like the number of the search volume, and I know I don't want to write on numbers that have like thousands of search volume, right? But then we also don't want to write around one that has 0.
Why would you not want to write one that's 1,000?
I just figured that was, or thousands. I just kind of figured that
As
was
long
too
as
high.
it's a long tail keyword, journal
Okay.
prompts for anxiety. That's a long. As long as you're not trying to rank for journaling or prompts, right? Those would
Gotcha.
have tens of thousands. But even in the thousands or 10,000s, it's possible to rank. And every search query, there are some things. Let me give an example. So something about homeschool, let's say, back to school, whatever, right? So in like July, August, everybody's searching for that, and all the mom bloggers are blogging about back to school. That's a very
Right.
competitive topic. And so when you're first starting, it'll take a little longer to start ranking for those things, whether they're in the 500s, or 5,000 search volumes. But let's take over to Hebrew for beginners. How many blogs are writing that, right? How many other, your competition is not what you see here on the screen. If you have that, which if you have that showing, you need to adjust those settings because you get docked points for that, or credits. But the competition that you got to consider is the competition among other creators. So when you look through a search results page, if you see dates, like sometimes you have dates, sometimes you don't, but most of what's showing has dates that are like 2 or 3 or 5 years old, like 2010 or whatever. That's old. That a lot's changed since they first wrote that. So it also tells you that it's not something people are often writing about, right? Where if you look at other things, like say, if you're looking up information about tech, like SEO, everything's 2021, right?
Right.
People are consistently writing about that stuff. So not every search query is going to have the same, I don't want to call it rules, but dynamics. So
Okay.
if it's 1,000, go for it. If it fits your niche, then go for it. But don't concern yourself with the exact keyword phrase. Say journaling prompts for anxiety, it's 590. Should I do that, or should I? Well, I should do that one instead of this one because this one's 590 and this one's 40. You should have both in the post.
Okay.
Like we don't write content. And this, if any of y'all get the Neil Patel's email, he's the Uber Suggest guy. He sent one out this week. They got everybody freaking out. I had people messaging me. It was the new way to do SEO. It's no longer like, and so they were like, what, do we have to learn everything over? And you don't. Like, if you've been following me, you don't. SEO is not about a keyword that you put in the Yoast box and then you make sure that keyword's everywhere in the page, right? That's keyword stuffing. Satisfy the search query with all variables of that search query. So if they say gratitude and I say thankfulness, both of those words should be in the post. It really does not matter what phrase you put in the Yoast or Rank Math box. Like, you could put whatever you want to in that box. Write the content to satisfy the search query with all the variables of how somebody may be searching for it or the things they might be searching for in it.
Okay.
So I have a question. If you have like a search term, and I was told that like you shouldn't try to compete with yourself. So like, for example, I'm doing a series on spiritual friendship. So if I have like 5 articles on that topic, then I'm kind of competing with myself to get on Google page 1. Is that
yes and no. So you're not really competing with yourself. Google's only going to rank one URL from your site for a search query. You'll never see 2 or 3 posts from the same blog on this results page for something. Every single page post that you publish should be published to satisfy a very specific search query.
Okay.
And so when you do a series, I'll use gratitude because that's an easy one to help people visualize it. I'm going to do a gratitude series. How to show gratitude to God, how to show gratitude to my husband, how to show gratitude. Those are all very specific search queries. How to show gratitude is a search query. But when people are searching gratitude, they're wanting to know how to do it in a specific purpose, place, person, right? And so you more refine the search query. And so a series on gratitude, each one of those should focus on a different who, right? How to show gratitude to this person, and then each one of them will rank for that given keyword. But in a friendships, and I only know this because I have a post on my site, so I've done a lot of research on friendships, godly friendships, Christian friendships. There's not a lot of search volume or variables to justify multiple posts on the topic. And so one post that covers all the things you're talking about would get the ranking. Those other ones, it's not that they're competing, they're just going to be dead. The only way people will see them is if they're linked in something else. And so that's just never a good idea. Every single post has to satisfy its own search query, but there also has to be enough, like when you do the original, like how to show gratitude, when you do that one, you're going to get all these how to show gratitudes to different people over on the right sidebar in these long tail keywords and stuff. But in the friendships one, you're not going to get very many, and they're all going to be in the 0s, 10s, 40s. They're going to be very minimal. That means there's not enough variable or related searches to justify their own post. They would be better off in one single article post then that one post will rank for all of those keywords.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've already done them, so they're already done. I'm doing one more to go with it. But like the first one was like how to make Christian friends. And then it was how to build a Christian or a spiritual friendship for life. And then like how to make a spiritual friendship that lasts and things like that. And then, yeah. And so I like that 10 marks of true Christian friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so, and then the one I'm doing now is like how to make your Christian friendship stronger, which is, they're all different. Like the content is definitely different. So.
Right. And the content being different is one thing, but is there search volume for those?
Yeah, Christian or spiritual friendship has 720 search volumes a month, and then Christian friends had like 1,600, I think. So the
so those two are good ones, but all those other things, how to do this and how to do that, and all the, if there's no search volume for the purpose of those posts, then those posts are never going to get traffic. That's just what I'm saying. And not to say all is lost if you've already written them. You may want to go in and make them no index so they don't sort of count towards your overall blog grade. But then in the others that are SEO'd for a search query, you link to those, and that's how you'll get traffic to them, as well as you can make Pinterest pins for those, because those are not, the Pinterest pins can be for stuff that's no index. It's just those things will just never rank. That's what I'm saying, right? Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Let's hear it, Joyce.
When we're doing our blogs on our avatar, do we, and we're talking to our avatar, I'm trying to get it right here. Let me see, how should I word it? We're actually talking to our avatar, right? And we can use you instead of we, like when you're walking in love, you know, you're walking in God, or sometimes you might use the word we.
Oh yeah, I use you and we in this.
They'll still be talking to our avatar, right?
Right. I mean, you're sort of having a conversation. You're answering their question. The question was whatever they asked Google for. Now they have the results. They click on you. And so it shouldn't be a boring textbook answer. It should be a mixture of the answer intertwined with your own perspective, your own, right? Like you're talking to them. And so, you know, sometimes we do this. So when you're doing this, you should, right? Like, and Yoast or Rank Math, whichever you use, will tell you, it'll give you red saying the grammar's wrong.
Right.
None of us speak proper grammar. And if you do speak proper grammar, you're an English teacher, or people make fun of you for speaking proper grammar, right? Like we just don't talk that way as a society, right? We do first, second, and third person all in the same conversation, even though that's totally wrong. That's how we write. I'm sorry, that's how we speak. So how you speak in your writing, that's how people are going to relate to it, right? Like I do a lot of the y'all. So people from the South always email me back saying you must be from Texas or something, right? So your personality, but just how you speak should also be. Now, of course, proper spelling is important because Google picks up on
Right.
the words and stuff, right? But
Definitely.
yeah, grammar is how you speak is how you should write. Forget everything your English teacher ever told you.
Okay,
That's
but they
just-
grade you on that.
What's that?
They grade you on that,
No. Yoast will grade you, but we don't care what Yoast thinks.
Okay.
Yoast is just it's helpful for back end stuff and helping you with some parts, but like I always say, write, and we'll talk more about this in weeks, I think 5 and 6 in the boot camp, but write your post on like a Word document. So you don't have that Yoast light there making you like, because some people are OCD and it's like, I got to make it green, even though it's not important, but you got to have everything perfect. So if you write your content on like a Word document and then just paste it in, then it's a good piece of content and Yoast can go fly a kite. Because it's going to tell you, it's going to ping you on proper grammar. It's going to ping you on how many times you use the keyword that you put in the keyword phrase box per the total content count. But we don't put that keyword 100 times. We use variables of the keyword, right? To make it natural. Right. And so that's why I say like Yoast or Rank Math, whichever one you use, they serve a purpose. But when it comes to writing your content, ignore all the errors that it tells you are important because Yoast is a liar. I'll just say that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Got you. Thank you so much for that.
All right, next.
I had written down some questions. We just got back from New Mexico, so
yeah, that's right.
I'm doing it in the car. So, whoa, this went off my computer. I was wondering, like, when you measure your success or like to make goals and stuff like that, like how many months should I say a specific amount of time to say this is a goal, and like how many number of views should I expect to have? Because like, I mean, I like to have goals, and I'm very OCD, like you said. And so I like to have goals. I like to have something to like reach for. And when I'm looking at Google Analytics, which I know you said not to look at it every day, and I try not to, but I do look at it quite a bit. And, now that I'm finally getting in like the triple digits of views, a total, not per month, but total, it's kind of making me a little bit happy because I'm finally seeing some results for my efforts. But I don't really know like what to expect, or I know for each niche it's like different, but I don't know. I didn't know if you had any ideas.
Yes, so that's a great question because everyone wonders that. So let's take a stroll through my garden for a moment, right? Because I'm gardening right now, so everything I teach is going to be related to gardening. When you plant something in the garden, whether it's a seedling or a plant that's already established, and I know this because I'm out there every day, like, why hasn't it grown yet, right? Like, if you go out there and look at that flower or that seed every day, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're like, I'm not going in my backyard for a week or a month, then you're going to be like, whoa, look at that big blooming whatever, right? Your blog is the same way. You have to plant the seeds, the right seeds, right? And then just leave it. So as far as goals, again, goals are important. You got to have goals. But goals are not necessarily what you think they should be. When you're first starting, set your goals according to how many. Well, first you need to have your plan, like your plan for the year, right? And the goals should be traffic. My end goal is traffic. You can't quantify that number. It's not possible. Like you can't say in 12 months, I want to have 10,000 monthly sessions. It's just not possible because like you said, every niche is different. And even all of us in the same niche, say faith, the algorithm is just weird. Like it does and it doesn't. And there's no there's a standard, but it's just not something in your first year that you can quantify other than I want traffic. So the goal should be create your 12-month content plan. Check, got that goal done. I have my content planned out for the next 12 months. And the goal being 1 post a week or whatever yours. Don't overshoot, knocking out 2 posts a week properly that are good for SEO. You gotta have a lot of time. Most people don't. 1 a week is excellent. And if you can't do 1 a week, 1 every other week. So twice a month is better, but never once a month. So that should be your goal. I
Okay.
implore you, stop looking at your analytics.
Okay.
If you're
Yeah.
trying to lose weight and you look in the mirror every day,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna
You
get
won't see
frustrated.
anything.
But if you're like, get that scale out of my house, take all the mirrors down, and then suddenly you pass a mirror a month later and you're like, whoa, I'm looking good, right? Like you can't look at it every day. It will totally, it will deter you because you'll keep focusing on what you're not seeing. There's a lot going on that you're not seeing that's actually moving you forward. You can't see this stuff in the background because it's sort of like invisible, like internet stuff. Just
Mhm.
let it simmer.
Okay.
Focus, do your plan, and then just keep writing. Don't look
So
at
what
your
kind of goals could I have so that I have something to, reach for or to look forward to, like you said, creating a 12-month content plan. I think that's a really good goal. And if I can, do like 1 to 2 blog posts a week, but my main focus is because I'm a writer, that's what I do for a living. So it's like my main focus is to kind of like give value via my words. So I do like 3,000, 4,000 word posts. So doing
word
like
count is
2
irrelevant.
times.
Just know that.
Yeah.
Word count,
Okay.
there's no word count that's the right answer.
Yeah,
The
it just
word count
depends on how
depends on the
much
search
value.
query. Right.
Yeah, how much value. Yeah.
Some search queries can be answered in 1,000 words. Some need 3,000. So
Okay.
don't get caught up on, I have to make this post this many words or else, because then people won't read it because they're bored, because it went way, like that person that just keeps talking. You're like, all right, I got it already. Like, right.
Right.
So it
Okay.
always has to be based on whatever that query was.
Yeah.
So the goal should be, I'm going to write 1 post a week. And at the end of the month, 6 months is a good time to reflect, right? To look at your analytics at the 6 month mark. And I'm talking to those who are like, okay, we're starting this today. Like
Mhm.
whatever I've been doing wasn't working. So I'm starting fresh. I'm going to watch it from now, knowing I'm doing everything right. In 6 months, then you go over to your analytics, you check your AREFs report, and you can see. And by then you should see something. If in 6 months you see nothing, then you're doing something wrong. But, and again, I know your numbers, like you want a thing. And in that first 6 to 12 months, it's just impossible to cite numeric goals other than how many posts you're going to knock out each week. You just can't quantify the traffic expectations. Now, based on your first year, at the 1 year mark of solid SEO, you'll see that slow upward trend. And at about the year mark, you're going to go up a huge boost, and then you're going to taper off, and it'll be a slow again. So at that year mark, when you've seen what you've accomplished in the first year, say at the end of that year, you hit 10,000, then you could say, okay, for next year, I want to double that number.
Okay.
But you have to have a number to start with, and you can't have a number because your blog has no number. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And mine's been about 5 months now, I think, about something like that. And the
But
RFs report, I'm just now starting to see organic traffic. So I'm pretty psyched about that because I wasn't getting any before. It was just Facebook, people who went to my page and saw, me saying, I just wrote this blog post, check it out. And then it would be like 10 people,
yeah,
or whatever. So I'm finally getting organic traffic. I'm finally showing up in the search results and stuff like that. So I'm paying close attention to that. And then the blog posts that people tend to flock to, I'm trying to write more like that or on that topic because it seems like that's what people are interested in. But you're kind of saying maybe not to do that because I've already
unless it's a related but totally different search query.
Okay.
Because then you'll be, like you said, competing. And that second post will just it won't get traffic because Google's already indexed you. And that's where, again, in the 6 month mark, you can go into Ahrefs and see everything that post is ranking for.
Mm-hmm.
And if that other thing you were thinking about writing on this topic is already indexed, even if it's on like page 5 for that other post, then you don't write a new post for that.
Okay.
Because this post has already been indexed for that keyword or phrase or concept or whatever.
So what part of RFs do you use to find that out? I can't see it anymore.
Oh,
There you are. Okay.
Okay.
I was just trying to see. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So my health score is like 61 right now, and my domain rating is like a 5. So I feel confident because it was like a 1.
Yeah,
so I'm getting some
with time. Also, there's a lot of things that go into your domain rating, so don't even fret with that at all.
Okay.
So I'm just going to pull up a post here, one of my top pages. I'm going to go one.
Oh,
that's-
okay, cool. I didn't even know there was that part of the website. This is just something I'm using for keyword research for a client. So, but he went ahead and put my blog on his thing. So he
Okay,
was like,
I'm going to do, these are just your top pages. That's where you track what pages are getting the most traffic.
okay,
So now I'm going to go to organic keywords. I'm going to paste that full URL for that post right here and change this to exact. Now it's going to tell me all the keywords that post is ranking for.
oh,
This is a
awesome.
post that's not getting a lot of traffic yet, so I need to update it. And
Mhm.
so you may see like, okay, it's ranking for what does discerning mean in the Bible in position 64. That's like page 7, right?
Yeah.
This one, discerning the word of God, is at 19. So that's like the bottom of page 2.
Okay.
So this is where, so like discerning the word of God, and say you want to do another post that was discerning God's voice, that would be a mistake because discerning of God, the voice of God is already ranked. It's just farther
Okay.
back. And so that's where, but at 6 months, you still just need to let it simmer. You should never go back and update content that isn't at least a year old.
Really?
Yes, because
Okay.
it's a good year for all those variables to start ranking. You may like within 2 or 3 months, it may make it to page 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then each month after that, you may get another keyword that gets indexed further back, right? Farther back here, farther back.
Mm-hmm.
The other content you're publishing also helps these values because when you're staying focused in the same, not topic, not voice of God in this particular situation, but you're staying in the faith, Bible, or you're staying in parenting, or staying whatever your categories are, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're staying in that. You're not going to Europe on one day and to like Mexico the next day, right? Apples and oranges. Stay
Right.
in wherever you're at. All of that helps add value. These rankings will go up. After a year, that's a good enough time for it to have simmered long enough that Google has, for the most part, you could say, fully figured out what folders it goes to. If you go in and update stuff before it's a year old, you're actually probably going to cause hindrance.
Okay.
Let it fester, simmer, whatever you want to call it. Just publish it and keep moving. And that's why I say the 12-month mark is the ideal time to go back and reflect on everything you've already done. 6 months is a good midweek check, so to speak, mid-year check to make sure you're in the up, you're starting to rank.
Mm-hmm.
But don't go back to those posts that are only 6 months old and start messing with them, because then you could actually do harm.
Because that's what I've been doing. I've been going back because I just had my website redone. And so all the links don't open in new windows. They open in the same one. So I'm like going back and doing all these little tweaks and doing like internal linking and stuff like that to kind of, I'm not changing the content a lot, but I don't want people to go off my page. So I'm trying to open them up in a new window, the links and doing
that's
stuff like
fine.
that.
You can do that, but don't mess with the content. Leave the content, let it simmer, wait a year. And then in your year 2, so to speak, and I know some people have been blogging for a little while, year 1 starts the day you start really focusing on SEO. So we start that as my blog's day 1, even if I've been blogging for 5 years, that's day 1. When you 4th quarter is when you start planning for next year. But in January, you look at the post you wrote last January, and those would be the ones that you would work on updating in January of next year.
Okay.
So that way you have it organized, you have a plan, so you have the new stuff you have to write in January, but updating the older content start with January. So that's a year. That's an ideal time to be updating stuff from last year. If you mess with it within that first 12 months, you're not giving Google enough time to even do its thing. You keep interrupting Google's process when you do that, and it takes longer. So I know it's hard. It's like, I just want to fix it.
Yeah,
it's almost there.
I know.
What can I do? Just leave it.
Exactly.
Just be still.
Okay.
Yes.
What if we're just going back and editing all of our posts for SEO? Should we still not do that till it's been a year?
1 year. 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Give it a year, because in that year's time, even if you didn't think you did SEO on that post, you could randomly find that Google indexed you maybe back on page 5 or 20 for something in the post. If it's indexed, that gives you a direction for updating it for SEO, right? Like something I've written stuff back when we first started. No, I didn't write it, but some of my writers wrote it. And what the intended point of the post, what Google indexed it for, which it wasn't really even that great. It was just one of our brand new posts. But what it was indexed for, the keywords, really wasn't the point of the post. So when we did the update, we did a complete overhaul based on what Google indexed it for. Once your content is already indexed, making updates to it will rank it to the top much faster than a brand new post out the door with perfect SEO. Because Google's already put it in a folder. It's just saying it's just not good enough to be at the top. So the first chance you go in there and make it better, well, it's already in the folder. So Google doesn't have to figure out what to do with it. It already knows what it did with it. It just is like, oh, well, it needs to move up to page 1 or 2 or whatever. And so you can't know that information in less than a year's time.
Okay. So don't update any posts until they're a year old.
Right. Just whatever month you're in, go back and look through your dates. Whatever month you're in,
Okay.
look at that month last year. And those are the ones that you'll work on this month, along with your new content that you're going to be publishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
I know it's
about-
hard. I know it's hard,
That's
but
a
I
lot of
promise
stuff to do.
this process works. But if you keep, so my hairdresser, she always messes up my hair. She's my color girl, but she also cuts it. And I don't know who taught her how to cut, but she can't cut. So I get home and I'm like trying to even it out. And then I just make it worse. And then a few days later, I'm like, well, let me just clip this. And then it never ends up growing because I keep clicking it or trimming it. So finally, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna put it in a ponytail. And then in a month or two, I'm like, oh, it's finally growing out. But if I keep chipping away at it, it never has time to grow. Let your blog grow. Let it do what it naturally needs to do before you go in and start messing with it. Just keep your eyes focused forward. As hard as that may be, set it and forget it for a year. Stay away from your analytics. It will drive you crazy. And I could bring testimonies of some of the ladies in my membership or those who've gone through my boot camp in past years who finally buckled down and did it after they were resistant to it. And they were like, oh my gosh, it actually made a difference. Like it took that freak out away because I wasn't freaking out every time I saw my traffic go, because through the month, even from month to month, you'll have dips. Those dips are normal. But if you see that dip when you were on the up, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what happened? I had like this much and now I only have this much. But then next month, it's back up again. That's normal. The fluctuations are normal and you can't see the actual growth until you step back and look at it from a bigger view. So just like change your password and lose it to your Google Analytics. So you're not tempted to log in there and look at it all the time.
Should we even avoid like until it's been a year going back and like adding in, like say that I wrote a post today that is applicable to a post that I wrote last
No,
month.
you can do that. Like an internal link.
You want to add the links?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the internal links aren't what's building the SEO for it. I mean, the juice from that link do help, but in the overall initial grading factor, that's very minute. So that's okay, because now you're linking to the newer, because if you wait a whole year to do that, you're going to have like a whole month of work to do to get them all, like everything interlinked, right? So you can definitely do that along the way.
Okay. Oh, goodness. This took stress off me because I have a lot of posts I was about to start trying to go back and change.
So was I. I have like a checklist of all the things I was going to fix. Like
Me
I
too.
found a bunch of broken links and then I'm like going to go through and change all of the ones that are opening in new windows, but I don't think that's going to affect the SEO at all. So I can just change that. But
No, what I would do, Michelle, for that fixing the link, the open a new window, just put that on your to-do list for updating older posts.
Okay.
When you do that 1 year from the date it was published.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just make,
So it's
I mean,
not that
again,
big a
it's not
deal?
that imperative as those
Okay.
posts start ranking and stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, yes, it's helpful. It keeps them on, whatever. But the time it takes for you to go back and find all of it, there's other more productive things that are going to actually be more fruitful than that task.
Okay. Yeah, that was one of the things. And then like my bullet points aren't like measuring up right. There's like the paragraph like sits on top of the bullet points. So I have to add an extra space in there and stuff like that. So there's like
Are you
all these
using
little like,
Gutenberg or using Classic Editor?
it's Elementor.
Oh, yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I know. I don't like it at all, but my web designer client is the one who's doing my website, and so he likes it. So anyway, yeah, so I'm having to go through and do all these formatting issues. I don't like the way the quotes and Bible verses look, so it's like trying to get all those little bitty things fixed, but I'm being like too much of a perfectionist with my OCD and stuff, I think. So
Yes, because in the
spending way
bigger
too much.
scheme of things, while those are aesthetic and you want
Yeah.
things to look pretty, those things in and of themselves have nothing to do with your goal, which is traffic. They don't impact traffic at all. So those are things to put on the to-do list for updating the older post. When you go into that older post a year from now, check the internal links, make sure they open a new window, or,
Yeah.
reformat your whatever. Those are all aesthetic. They have nothing to do with getting your content to rank. And so you shouldn't, again, as you write new content, yes, do it the right way. But all that older stuff, focus on the tasks that are actually going to bring you traffic. And those have nothing to do with the traffic ability of a post.
And what are some of the goals or tasks we could work on now, that we can do something about, just new
Right.
content?
New content.
New content. Okay.
Content is key. The more content you have, the more information Google has to start indexing your site, the more content you have that will start ranking.
Okay.
So content is the goal. So my first year for Kingdom, and again, I write the blogging tips, but none of that stuff ranks. But the faith content is what we get traffic from. Year one, which was only 2020 or 2019, December of 2018 is when we launched. So really 2019 was our first year. It was all about the content. If it wasn't about writing new content, I didn't do it, right? I wasn't making products. I wasn't doing this. And I did get off track at one point, and then I figured out how to turn that into a piece of content, which now brings a lot of traffic. And I know this concept is hard in today's world, as in blogging in general, because there's always some other blogger. And I'm not saying y'all should follow me and only me because I'm the best blogger out there, but I'm the simplified, honest, like this is the simple basics of blogging, and that's all you need. When you follow all these other ones, they do a lot of clickbait, like Neil Patel did with the new way of SEO that you need to learn. No, you don't. If you've been doing it the right way anyway, there's nothing new to learn, right? Focus on the search query. But you get off and you start, well, what about this? Well, this blogger said I should try this new tool because it will help me do that. Go to the basics. Stay focused on your goal that first year. Then you have enough data to see what's next, to go back and reflect, to update, to make better. If you're going to branch out to make your own products, affiliate marketing, all that stuff, you have a full year's worth of data to make a solid plan that's going to work. Otherwise, if you're just kind of doing stuff and getting off your goal of traffic, the things you're doing are like a shot in the dark. Like you have no data to base your decision upon. And many times those decisions fail because they weren't done at the right time, or you didn't have enough of whatever for it to actually work. And so if you can tune out all the noise, meaning all the bloggers saying you need this or you need that, and the biggest new thing in blogging, if you can tune that out and just focus on your traffic for a year, which means you have a plan for 52 posts, if you will, or more, whatever, and you stay on that plan. You can share stuff on social media. You can do stuff on social media if that's your thing. We didn't our first year. We shared new posts on Facebook the day they were published, but that was it. And as a result, 3 years later, 85 or 89% of our traffic comes from Google. I don't do Facebook really. I mean, I share posts the day it's published and that's it. I don't engage. I don't do any of that. So I don't get traffic from there, but we get almost 100,000 visitors a month, and almost every bit of it comes from Google. And that's within a 3-year period.
Okay.
So, but again, you have to, and I know it's hard, Michelle, because I came from the military, but I have ADHD really bad. And it's hard. I'll be going to get in my car to go buy groceries, and suddenly I'm pulling weeds out of the garden because I'm like, oh, there's a weed. Let me pick. And they're like, I thought we were going to the store, right? Yeah. It's hard for me. And I am also a perfectionist. I like things done the way I want it to look. I had to get past all that and discipline myself to what the goal was, and the goal, and only the goal, and nothing but the goal. And if you can do that, I promise you will see the results. I don't know what those results will be, but they will be more than what you think they will be, right? Like, because I said you can't quantify what yours will be versus say Jeannie's or Sydney's or whatever, because we're all blogging about different things. But
Right.
you can't reach your goal if you keep making pit stops. I mean, you can, it's going to take much longer. So
Yeah.
just avoid
So
the pit
maybe
stops.
instead of doing these checklists and stuff like that and going back and fixing all these little things, it would be better to maybe like write an extra blog post for the week or something like that and spend my time writing, something new and put 2 blog posts out a week if I had the time to do
Correct.
it, for example. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as the time you're spending produces a quality piece, don't just throw stuff together to throw it together.
No.
Don't, like I said
that-
before, don't make them 3,000 words just to make them 3,000 words. Make sure
No.
it's appropriately, the word count is appropriate to what they need to know to satisfy. Don't forget about things like resources. Those are easy ones to put together. Resource pages aren't just a list of things. You can SEO resource pages, like whatever your niche is. I mean, I have resource pages like Bible verse coloring pages, printable Bible verse art. And it's not all stuff I've created. I'm just linking to other sites that have these wonderful Bible study worksheets. I don't have any of those, but I link to other bloggers who create them. And that's actually one of my top performing posts. It's actually on a page, not a post. Nothing on it is mine except the paragraphs, but what it's linking to, the actual resources, are other bloggers. So if you keep that in your plan as well, the types of resources and stuff that you can do and see what search volume there is for those can be really quick things you can put together to supplement the weekly blog post. That, again, you have to focus so much on SEO or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do you make your printables? Do you have a program or something?
I use
Or do you just do
Canva.
Word? You
No,
did Canva?
I Canva. Everything's in Canva. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a printables course that goes through Canva, where to get all the, like, how to make coloring pages, where to get the graphics, free stuff, how to make, there's actually templates. I think there's templates in it for a few things. But yeah, Canva is like awesome for making stuff.
Okay. I'm still learning Canva. So.
All right. What else?
Question. Do we have a tutorial on internal and external linking,
There's a tutorial on my site, but we were actually going to go through that during the blog layout, which I think is week
Okay.
3. Yeah. So we'll go more in detail about that.
Okay.
But you can go to on my site. If you just click on the blogging tips in the top right corner, it has like an index, and there's something on there. It's actually internal, the importance of external links, I think is what it's called. And so it kind of explains all of that.
Okay, I kind of read that a while back, but I'll go back and read it. Okay.
But remember, we're on competitor research this week, Joyce.
I know.
Stay on the class assignment, Joyce. Don't jump ahead.
Okay.
Beanie, you too. Don't jump ahead. Focus on what we're supposed to be focusing on.
But I did get started last night.
Okay, good.
Uh-huh.
Where is the boot camp, or where do you sign up for that?
So it's closed right now. I do
okay.
it 3 times a year. And so we just started, this right now is ending week 1. And so the next one will open, it'll be August, September. So it's 8 weeks. So enrollment will be in July, and that'll be the last one for this year. Cause I don't do a class in 4th quarter. I do a Black Friday sale for it, but it's for the January class. So there'll be one more this year. That is the August, September, 8 weeks. Yeah.
So when you do link to competitive, or not competitors, but when you link to external sources, like my husband was saying that if you put like, according to New York Times or something like that, and then you continue on with your sentence, then like he said, a lot of times he feels like he kind of wants to click on the New York Times, link, because he's like, well, they're more authoritative and they've got the information. So I'm going to go straight to the source instead of saying like, oh, 10 million people, 89% of 10 million people, and just underlining that as the hyperlink to an external source. And I do it both ways. So I don't really, have a rhyme or reason to it, but I'm just wondering if you know of which way would be better, or if there's one way that you should be doing it or not. like saying according to the New York Times, linking that way, or saying just the fact, linking it that way?
I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
As long as you make that open in a new window for sure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a lot of, if it's research based, like you're trying to cite a source to justify what these stats or
Right.
data or whatever, then you definitely need to cite the source that you got it from. But personally, I prefer the link text to match the destination. So whatever the words that match where they're going to. So if it was like daily devotionals and you click daily devotional, not according to Amazon daily devotionals or whatever, right? Don't make Amazon clickable, the daily devotion. So the link text of what you're saying would be my preference personally, but I don't think it really matters as long as it opens in a new window.
Okay.
So that your window is still open. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going back and fixing. Again, they all got fixed. I messed up when I changed my website. So,
And some things to consider with that. So we have what's called no follow. So if you do
Mhm.
affiliate marketing or any kind of sponsor content, you have to make those links no follow. By default, everything's a follow. So Google goes through the link. Google crawls every single link on your site. And in that link, when it goes in, the name on the door, the sign on the door, what it is, that begins kind of the SEO juice rating factor. If you, I'm just making these terms up, but that's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah.
And so whatever those words are should match the destination content wise, right? So like I said, daily devotionals, and you link to a daily devotional or a post about daily devotionals, whatever. So Google uses those to grade both give your grade, but it also, that's a backlink to the other site. And so you may have heard of backlinks. We're not going to talk about that because they're not important for you right now, anyone here. But bigger sites get bigger and bigger because of the number and quality of backlinks, right? So Google doesn't want, commerce sites and big sites basically to pay for their ranking, right? By affiliates, like a lot of people are getting paid as affiliates. And so that's a lot of links out there. And so those links, basically the no follow tag puts a do not enter sign for the crawlers. It says, no, your reader still clicks on it and they can go read it, but the crawlers don't go there. So they don't use that as a grade. So that's for affiliate, anything with a monetization relationship. But say on my post about, I don't know, what does the Bible say about something? Let's say there was a New York Times article about this topic as well. New York Times gives me no SEO juice, right? New York Times is not a biblical site. So I would probably make that link no follow because the SEO juice just isn't there. So if you link, sometimes we do link to other sites because it makes sense for what we're talking about, but it's not a site that has the same SEO juice as our site. Then in those situations, you would make those links no follow as well. That'll happen very rarely, but just like kind of know that.
Okay. And is there just like a click button that we can do to make them no follow links?
So I don't think Gutenberg has it built in. I have the REL, like capital REL, capital N, no follow checkbox plugin.
Okay.
I had that before I
Yeah.
converted to Gutenberg. And so when you go in to add the link to make it a linkable, there's just a tick box right there.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was.
That's what I've always used.
Okay. Thanks.
Do they rank the printables as well?
No, I mean, normally your printables would be stored on a Google Drive and you're linking them to that folder. Or if it's a direct download, I usually make those no follow. But I mean, again, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. The more important factor is when you're just linking to an entirely other website. That's when the no follow really comes into play.
Okay.
Next, y'all got quiet. Go ahead, Sydney. I can see you busting at the seams. You got a lot of questions.
I cannot figure out how to get the sidebar share buttons up, like where you have like Pinterest, Twitter,
Sidebar
Facebook,
share or sidebar follow?
I don't know if it may not be called sidebar. I'm probably not saying that right. But like when you look at your Kingdom Bloggers page, just like on the side, it pops up like
You're
all
talking
the
about
different
this right
share
here?
icons. Uh-huh.
Okay, so I use, what social sharing plugin are you using?
Let me see.
If you're using the ones that come with the WordPress blog, I think Jetpack or something has them installed. Don't use those. Those are really not very fruitful.
Okay.
So I use Grow by Mediavine. Some people use Shareaholic, which is free, but I really don't recommend that. I mean, I used it, but it weighs down your site a lot. It adds a lot of extra coding. Grow by
Okay.
Mediavine, I think it's like $29 a year. It's actually not that expensive. And it was designed by Mediavine, the ad network. And so it's meant for speed. So in the settings, so regardless, whatever settings for your plugin, you got to find your plugin and see in the settings. There's
It's whichever one came with my theme.
Yeah, so it's probably just the Jetpack one. I would get rid of that and either you could start with Shareaholic if you want to go the free route. Like I said, Grow is really good. I'm not an affiliate. They don't even have an affiliate program. It's just I've used many different ones. I've used Social Warfare, Shareaholic, and some others. And this has by far been the best for speed. And you just edit the settings. So there's like the floating sidebar. That's what this is. And then inline content, and there's settings for each one. So you can want it above the content and below. I prefer the sidebar one because it scrolls as they scroll the page. But it's in the settings for your plugin. But the one that comes with WordPress does not have that option. It only has the one at the bottom of the post. That's it.
Okay. I may not even have one at all because
Let me
like
see.
I have icons for my social media, but they're not like, it doesn't share the posts. It just takes them to my social media pages.
Your Peaches and what?
Peaches and King.
King with an S?
Uh-huh. Peaches and King. No S, sorry.
Peaches and King.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find a blog post.
So like at the top right, there's those little icons, but I think, and then I did the tasty pins too, but I think that's all that I have as far as like social media.
Yeah, so you have the ones that come with WordPress. So I would actually disable that for a couple of reasons. Not saying because I need you to go buy something. Again, like you can use Shareaholic and it's totally free. And I am not an affiliate for Grow. So I just want to make sure people, because some people are like, oh, she's just trying to get us to buy us stuff so she make an affiliate.
No.
I am not an affiliate.
I don't think that.
Yeah. The problem is, and here's why, not all sharing buttons are created equally, right? You're scrolling, right? And then because your site is so pretty, the colors, that's very pleasing to the eyes, very light, you could almost pass those buttons. Like,
right.
I know where they're at, so I know where to look because I'm a blogger, but a normal person might just scroll right past those because they're so camouflaged. They're so insignificant. Your sharing button should be bold and in your face, even though they contrast, right? Like if you're trying to be all pretty and aesthetically pleasing, you can actually make these, they should not be the same colors. Some people do that, but you still overlook them. So if you're going to make them the same colors, make them big, bold. And in these other plugins, WordPress, you can't do that. The one that I think it's Jetpack is what it is. So in mine, you see they're the colors. People recognize these. They stand out. It also calls people attention. Oh, I can share this. Even if they weren't already thinking they wanted to share it, seeing the share buttons prompts a response to like, ooh, I should share this, right? But when they mesh too much with your theme colors, sometimes they look like camouflage. You go right past it. Plus, you want them bigger. Like I have it at the bottom as well. Somewhere. We have so much content. Where is it at? It's down here.
Leanne, I'm going to run, but I just want to say thank you so much.
Okay, bye, Michelle. Have a great weekend.
Bye. You too.
So I have mine in two places. I have the scroll, which is actually what I get the most shares from. And then I have this one too, because some people naturally go to the end of the post and look for it. But these are both also on my mobile device. So, and that's where most of my traffic comes from anyway. But that's what I would recommend. Shareaholic is free. You can use that. There's just some very specific settings you want to adjust in there because Shareaholic puts ads related content section at the end. And sometimes those ads are really ugly and not appropriate
Right.
for a Christian site. And so you want to turn those off. I only know because I used to use it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did they put on my site? So you can tweak it all. But again, Shareaholic does weigh down your site. The scripting in them does slow down your site speed. And so that's when I eventually went to Grow. I want to say it's like Grow by.
I think the one that I'm using now is Genesis Simple Share.
Yeah, see, it's just that can default because you have a Genesis theme. So I would just delete that. It's just
Okay.
it's not customizable enough for you to be able to,
Right.
and you can look through it and see if there's a floating sidebar option, but I have Genesis also, and I know the one that was installed in mine didn't. So
Yeah, I didn't even see any settings on that one. I just deleted it. I'll go with what you said.
so this is, oh, it's $34 a year.
Okay.
So it's a minimal price for something. I mean, but social sharing, it's important because people share it. And when they share it, then you get traffic from when they shared it. And so that's why I like it. And it's very lightweight.
Can they share, like I don't use Twitter. Can they still share my posts to their Twitter even though? Okay.
Correct. The sharing button is for them regardless of where you hang out. Like if I always say, if there was a button for the bathroom wall, you would want to put it on there, right? Like put my content, share my content wherever. You want to have the main ones, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. Some people, depending on what they write about, in LinkedIn, which is what that one is. There used to be the Google Plus, which is no longer a platform. So you want to make sure you disable that. But these are the main places. So these are the ones, like I don't do Twitter anymore. I actually deleted my account. So where that matters is for your social, oh, I got to take that off. The social follow buttons. I forgot to take I deleted my Twitter. You should only have the follow buttons for where you are and only put them if you're actually active there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I totally forgot to remove Twitter. I deleted my account like 4 months ago. But yeah, these, even if you don't do Twitter, you need to have a Twitter button because there are a lot of Christian bloggers on Twitter and they're very active. So I get traffic from Twitter all the time, even though I'm not there.
Okay. Good to know. So you said it's called is it the Grow Social by Mediavine?
There you go. It's just type in Grow by Mediavine and it's Grow Social Pro. Yeah. We just call it Grow by Mediavine. And then you start here. So you don't go to your plugins and add new. You got to start on their website and then they walk you through the setup process with an API key and everything.
Okay, cool. And while we're talking about that, so for the tasty pins, I got that all set up. I did make like the button, like when they hover over a photo, the button like the same color as like my theme. Should I make it red, you think?
I would. And again, people need to know it's there.
Okay.
Right? If it blends in too well, people will not realize and overlook it.
Okay. And then do you allow all of your photos to be pinnable?
No, I disable everything except the one I want them to pin. So as I add an image to the post, like the featured image, or if I put like something else, I don't put a lot of images just because the more images do slow down the page. You should have a smushing plugin like Smush. I have Smush, it's free. Because images take up space and you should have, if you're going to put multiple images in the post, you should, in your Smush, if you use Smush or whatever you use, there will be a toggle switch for lazy load for images. And what that is when, so let's say you're on your phone or even on the computer. I'm just going to pull up a post here. The image won't actually fully load until they get to the image. Okay. So let me scroll over here.
It's beautiful.
So here, so if this was, right, like it's text, then this image is here and you're going down, right? If you have multiple images, which I know some of yours do, the actual image won't load on the page until they scroll to that position. The
Okay.
time it takes for images to load is what slows down a page load speed. And so lazy load helps speed that up by not loading them until it's necessary, which means they're literally at the image, and then it loads the full image. So make sure your lazy load is on
Okay.
to help with that. And I just say that for people who do put a lot of images in their content, that's important.
Okay.
So we should have the Mush plugin installed.
Smush, like smush.
Mush.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so if we use a lot of images.
Mhm.
Okay.
And just the thing on images, like in general, you want to kind of keep them to a minimum because you need more content. People are reading the content. If you have too many images, especially on a mobile device, it can be hard for them. They'll get lost in the images. Like I know fashion blogs and stuff, that's a little different. But
Mhm.
content is what gets you to rank. And so if you have like a paragraph and image, that's really not good because there's too many obstacles in the way to the next piece of content for it to read and crawl or whatever, right? So in general, I would not put, like, I don't put my pinnable image in the post, it's hidden. And usually I just have like my featured image, which is this one. This one actually has a sign up, but this is my devotionals. And then I don't put another image in most of it. Sometimes I might put a verse or like an Instagram image that they can use on Instagram, but usually I don't, just because I want the content. Now, if you have like a 3,000 word post, it would be okay to have a few images, but if your content is like less than 1,500 words, it's going to interfere not just with the crawlers, but it can also, because of how the images will display between paragraphs and the spacing, sometimes it comes out weird and it might just deter them from really reading the content. So I would just be, not saying don't put them there, just be minimal. Don't try to be like the fashion bloggers or the home decor bloggers where it's like a million images and no content. That will hurt your ranking.
So I just downloaded that Smush app or plugin. Should I remove? I've been using Short Pixel, and I think I pay like $5 a month for it. Should I remove that?
I know there's a couple of people that recommend that, but they're also affiliates for it. Not saying it's a bad tool, but they recommend it part of their income. I tried it once and didn't like it because the more images you add, the more you got to pay for optimizations.
Okay.
So, but you can't do two. So it's one or the other, basically is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I have Smush, then I don't need the Short Pixel.
Correct.
Okay. Save me $5 a month, or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, again, I don't mean to diss other bloggers. It's just when you're new and you don't know any better, you take everything they tell you to buy, and a lot of times you just don't need it. You know, like there's other things that actually work. And I'll always tell you, this is what I use, but you don't need it, but it's really cool. So if you want it, like here it is. There's very few things that I actually promote. Tasty pins was one just because it's super helpful, but it's not necessary. Like it's super helpful for pinning, but it's not like your blog's going to die if you don't use it. Right. So.
So like Pinterest, I think the minimum now is like 1,500 by 1,000 or something like that. Will Smush make my images smaller than that? So when someone like pins from my page?
No, it doesn't make the image smaller. It makes the file smaller. It's like putting it in a zip file. That's the best way I can explain it. To where on your drive, your server, not your drive. So, on your computer, the more stuff you save to your hard drive, then eventually it's full and you got to buy more storage space, right? Your server works in the same way. There's only everyone who has a, like say SiteGround or Bluehost, whoever, your server has a capacity. So everything you add to your site, whether it's each individual blog post, every image you upload to your media library, PDFs, all of that, that's storage space. So the images are naturally a large file. So all it does is compresses it to make it a little smaller to save space. And so if you ever are going to do like just give a PDF away, like not as a often, but you're like, here, download this PDF. Don't upload those to your media file, your media library. Save them on a cloud drive and just make a clickable link to the shareable for the file on your cloud.
Okay.
That way it's safe, because those PDF files are very big. And even with Smush, Smush does images, JPEG, PNG, not PDF.
That's good to know, because I have a ton of printables and PDFs on my
Yeah, so
website.
just to show you, like, I do too. I actually pay for extra space. I have two emails, so I have plenty of storage space, but all the ones for this site is on here. And so make sure you organize it into folders. So I'm going to go to my printables library here. Are y'all seeing? Oh, I'm not sharing. I'm sorry. So I'm going to go to my printables library. So these are all different folders in my printable folder. There's subfolders in that folder. So let's just go to phone screensavers. So in that folder, there's even more folders. So this is where I say keeping things organized into folders based on what they are, because if I want to give the link to all of my cross phone savers, I can right click this folder. Don't use share, use the get link. And there's two options here, anyone with link or restricted. Make sure it says anyone with link, and then copy this. And so in your post or whatever, if you'd like, download these free cross phone savers to put on your phone and reflect on Jesus every day or whatever, right? So cross phone savers, you would link those words to this URL right here. And then when they click on it, they're going to see everything in this folder. So you can give them access to the whole folder, or if you were just giving them a single PDF, or I'm saying a single file, work, printable, whatever, then you would just come here and find the actual printable like here and give them that link. Again, making sure it says anyone with link. And you just copy it. And then when someone opens it, it'll look literally just like this. It'll open up like that. Okay. And then they can download it or do whatever.
Okay.
And so that will save you so much space, especially if you're doing a lot of printables. Do not upload them to your media library. Only, like I would say, only the images for your posts, like your featured image, your pinnable image, that should be the only things you upload to your media library.
Okay. You said the pinnable image, and if you use another image in your post?
Yeah, the physical images you want in the post, like
right.
Sometimes I'll do custom sign up forms where it's actually a Canva form that links to my ConvertKit instead of the ConvertKit form, embed form. It'll be like a banner that says, hey, click here to download these. I like to do them that way because you can make them better. So that's JPEG. I'm sorry, let me make sure. When you upload these images to your blog, like in a post, you're going to upload your image to put right there in between two paragraphs or whatever. Always, when you make them, save them as JPEG, not PNG. PNG files are bigger than JPEG. PNG is like a premium file, like a larger. JPEG is like a more condensed version of it. And so sometimes if you use, like I know in Ahrefs, I get a report, like I'll accidentally, because I like PNGs for Instagram just because they're more vivid or whatever. Or if I save them to use in my Etsy store, I like PNG because it's just a better file. And I'll forget and upload that into the blog, and I'll get an error that says this file is too big. So that also saves some of your storage space on your server. So always use JPEG when uploading files directly into blog posts.
Okay.
How many hours a day do you use to make all of your printables? Do you just use a day to do all of this?
You should never compare to my schedule because I'm like all over the place. Plus, I'm really good at it.
I love your site. I really do. And I think we both have the same genesis. But I love your site and I love it.
Well, what I normally do, I'll get in a mode, right? So the images for a particular blog post, I make it just right then. Like I have in Canva, my templates are saved for my pinnable image. The featured image is just the blog banner size. And I just put the image right in it that I download from wherever. Like I use Adobe stock, which I don't recommend because they're really expensive. And it was an accident in how I ended up signing up for them. But so the featured image and the pinnable image, I just make them right then when I'm editing the post. Now, sometimes I'll get on a kick where I want to make a bunch of Instagram, those ones I was sharing with everyone that y'all can download and use for your own Instagram. And so I'll just sit down and make a bunch. But here's the thing. I'm good at this. Like it's, you know, some people are good at crafts. Like you ever know those people that like make wreaths and all kinds of cool crafts. And you're just like, oh, I wish I could do that. When I make a wreath that looks like it came out of the trash can, right? There's some people, I just seem to have that gift. In here, I have that gift. Like I can just throw stuff together, but I know some other people really struggle to put elements together. So that's why I say you can't compare how much time it takes me, because if you're good at this, then you could just knock them out. Same with coloring pages. But usually when I'm going to do those extra things, I will say, okay, this is what I'm working on today, but it's not just for one thing. Like I'll spend the whole day making stuff for other projects too. So you kind of got to find your groove. Like I made this prayer challenge worksheet. Probably took me, what actually took me the longest was writing day 1, day 2, day 3, like the text. That's what took me the longest. But putting it together, just because I'm really good and I know where all the elements are that I need to use, I can just throw them together. So it just depends. Like every person, the graphic stuff will be different depending on your creativity and how. Like some people just hate it. I love it. I love Canva because it's so much cheaper than my habit being used at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Right? I can come here and just go to town and not have to pay anything. So yeah.
Okay.
Bulk, how do you say that? Some people call it batch work. I don't know what you call it. Basically where you spend one day doing all the things for one part of your, right? So like in the boot camp, we're going to talk about this in the planning, the outlines. If you just sit down one day and do all your outlines for next month, then you already have your outlines. Instead of sitting down each week and doing the outline and then writing it, you already have the outline every Monday. You just got to fill it in. So
Right.
batch planning. And so if you're going to make Instagram images for each post, then just sit down and make all 30 in one day. Then you don't have to worry about it, right? So batch work is actually very helpful if you can do that. Some people just can't. They're like, I need to do it as I go, and that's fine. But it actually saves a lot of time because you're in that mode and you just get them all done and then you save them. And then when you need it, it's like already there. So.
It makes sense.
Like I do
Can I
that.
ask you?
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Sydney.
No, go ahead. I
well,
was going to change the subject.
I write the outlines for my team, which is everyone in the membership. They're the ones that write most of the content for the site. And so I have my content plan, what topics I want posts on. And so I will sit down for one morning and I will do all the outlines. And usually there's 8 to 10 posts for the month because we do one a week, but sometimes 2 a week, just depending on who took what dibs. And so I will sit down in a morning, like literally before lunch, and I will knock out all the outlines. And then I send it out to everyone and they're done. And then the final week of the month is when I know they're all going to be sending their drafts to me. And so that will take me a day or two to go through and edit their outline, edit their submissions, upload it into WordPress, make the images. But to do one post probably takes me 30 minutes. So however many I have times 30 minutes, that's how long it takes me to get all the content uploaded. Again, I didn't write it, so I have that going for me. But I still have to make the pinnable image, featured image, add any links that I need to add and all of that. And then I'm done for next month, right? Same thing with my devotionals. We do a Wednesday devotional every week. And so they send me those. I make the pinnable image, the featured image, and I make an Instagram image for each devotional. And so they send me all those by the end of the month, and I get them all done by the end of the month and scheduled for next month. So everything that I'm actually working on in WordPress is actually for next month. It's never for this month. Yes. Hi, Tim.
Hi. I have a question regarding batching in Pinterest
Okay.
because I do manual pinning on Pinterest, but it has a little button where you can schedule it out.
Mhm.
And I've been doing that. Like I'll sit down one day and I'll schedule out for a whole week, but I've heard that that's not good, that Pinterest wants you actually pinning every single day.
Yeah. So here's the skinny on Pinterest. Pinterest is not your friend.
Pinterest
Pinterest
is
changes
fun.
its mind literally every month on what it wants you to do. But you're right. Pinterest wants you to be on Pinterest. And if you're on Pinterest, you're not getting much other productive stuff done. And the amount of time you do spend making Pinterest happy, what you get back from that, like the traffic that you should get back, is very minimal. And eventually it plateaus and doesn't ever grow. So I mean, I know some people are really like, I got to pin on Pinterest, but I would say I don't schedule. I don't use Tailwind anymore. I publish a post. I pin that post right then and there. And then I don't see Pinterest again until the next time I publish post, which is next Monday.
Oh, okay.
So, but again, there's still some people who want to do Pinterest, but they have the scheduling option in their platform. So that is better than using a third party thing like Tailwind, because you're still in their platform when you schedule it.
And
But
it's
the
free.
and it's free. But the manual pinning, they still want you to be active. So you still got to go in there to keep it happy, and pin other people's stuff or pin your own stuff or whatever. And it just becomes an endless to-do list for Pinterest. And then Pinterest doesn't reward you very well. Like a reward would be $100. Pinterest gives you like 50 cents, right? Like the reward for all that work is so minimal, that it's just not a healthy, productive use of time, really.
Well, I started because everybody was saying, if you're a blogger, you've got to be on Pinterest. But my niche is Christian recovery, and there's not a lot on there in that niche. So I'm not getting.
And there was one time when Pinterest was really good, probably about 3 years ago, about 2 years ago is when it started going cray. Like, I don't know. I don't even know. And so, but you're right. Certain niches is just, that's not what people go to Pinterest for.
No.
Pinterest, they go to look for other things. And so for you, the organic seeds are what you need to be planting. The SEO
So focus on SEO rather
content,
than Pinterest.
because people go to Google to look for what you're offering. They don't go to
Okay.
Pinterest. Yeah. So,
Great, thank you.
Okay, Sydney.
Thank you. It's kind of on the same topic as Tim, but for Pinterest, for the tasty pins, all that I need to be changing, like when I input a photo into my post, is the Pinterest title, the Pinterest text, and then the Pinterest repin ID, right? And then it's good to share, anyone to share over to Pinterest.
I wouldn't even do the repin ID. That actually can cause some issues. So Pinterest text, Pinterest title, the Pinterest text, the alt text is also very important. But that's actually part of, let me pull it up on mine. Hold on. Dashboard. So when this pops up, you're going to have the Pinterest title, the Pinterest text. You also need to add the alt text, which is a description of the picture. So a lot of people would just put the keyword in here and Yoast will hit you if you don't have the keyword. But this alt text is for blind reader software. And ADA compliance is becoming a bigger issue now, or a bigger thing. And so when a blind person is doing like reading a book, so they're not reading, the software is reading the book to them. When it comes to an image, it should be able to read that image, like describe it, right? And so you shouldn't, I mean, if you can finagle the keyword in there, great, but it's not going to help anything. It's actually could hurt you. So just a simple description. So like, so this picture, it's a father holding his son's hand across a table with a Bible laying next to them. That's what I put. I don't put what the sign is on it, like the God is a loving father. I mean, you could say with a sign that says God is a loving father if you wanted to, like that's kind of the keyword. But your alt text, you need to fill that out for every image that you add. And then this here, which is before before you even put Tasty Pins in, these blocks are here. So if your Pinterest URL for that pin ever got indexed on Google, have you ever done a Google search and some of the results are actually a Pinterest link? It will pull this text right here. So I just, whatever I put here, I put it here too.
Okay. And so in the Pinterest title, you just put the title of the blog post.
Correct. And you can play around with it. I mean, like when you put the pin together, like the words on the pin, if you're, I don't know, like, especially if you make newer pins for these older posts, like when you go back and update them in a year and all that, you can get creative with your titles to make them more Pinterest click worthy. So the title that you put doesn't have to be exactly what the title of the blog post is, because that's for Google. So on Pinterest, you can get a little more creative with your titles and click worthiness or whatever you want to call it.
And do you make sure to include a keyword in the Pinterest text?
Yeah, the Pinterest, I mean, I personally don't fret with it anymore. I used to, but I'm so over Pinterest. I do the bare minimum, but keywords are important. So, you know, if it was like Bible verses about something, you would make the Bible verses, or what does the Bible say about, you know, some key concepts of what it's about are important. But don't go like keyword crazy. And apparently hashtags are no longer a thing. They weren't, and then they were, and now they're not no more. So there's no need to put hashtags in the description anymore.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pinterest used to be really great when I first started. I mean, I got a lot of traffic from Pinterest. And then over the last 2 years, I don't know, they're constantly changing things, like trying to keep relevant with other platforms. And it's like, they created these groups that you could join. It's like, I don't come to Pinterest to join groups and talk to people. I've come to look for stuff, right? And so the groups flopped. So then they quit doing that. I don't know, but they change up the algorithm. They change up how the site looks. So even as a user, not even a blogger, but just as a user of Pinterest, it's very frustrating because every time you go in to look up something, like everything looks different. And they've actually lost quite a bit of their stock, the Pinterest stock, you know. And I know people that pay for Pinterest pins, like Pinterest, a boosted pin. Please don't ever do that. That is like the biggest waste of money. Just give me your money, right? Like just give it to me, because you'll get nothing from it either way. I've known people that paid and they knew how to do Pinterest ads, and their pins were showing up in search queries that had nothing to do with what that pin was for, right? Like I'll do searches for whatever, and I'll see dog food, like dog, because I buy stuff from Chewy Dog. So your cookie history also affects in Pinterest. And it's like, if I'm trying to get you to buy a prayer journal, why is it showing up when people are searching for dog beds? Like that doesn't, right? Like it should be showing up when people are searching prayer stuff. And so I saw a lot of people who were paying for ads suddenly stop getting any traffic. Like they were doing good at one point, and then with all these changes, the ad generated traffic also dropped. And so it's like, so I again, everyone can do what you want, and it can be fun, but Pinterest can be a time suck, a big time suck, because it gets you hooked, right? And then you feel you need to do it. But like I said, the more you give, the less you get back, less and less. And you end up giving more and more. And that, like, the more you give, the less you get back as far as traffic. So just be mindful of that. And as soon as you figure it out, suddenly all the Pinterest people will be like, oh, so Pinterest has released some new stuff, and here's what you need to do to be successful. And it's like, well, I just learned it. Why do I got to learn it again? So SEO does not do that, by the way. It has minor changes, but nothing like what Pinterest does.
Okay. Thank you.
Personally, I think Pinterest and the people that sell hair color are in it together. Hair color and anxiety medication. The big pharmacy and hair color, because it makes you so crazy. You need like some mental drugs and you need hair color for all the gray hair you get from it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. It's totally not true. Okay. All right. We got about 20 minutes left. What else y'all got?
Well, I have the table of content installed.
The
the-
lucky, did you do the lucky?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Is there any instructions on how you set that up?
I mean, I can show you how to set it up.
Oh,
It's actually pretty simple. I'm going to go to it right now. Hold on.
okay.
So you go over here, settings, table of contents. And
Okay.
so first tab should stay the same. In the appearance tab is where you can make it where it's colored to match. So like mine,
Mhm.
it's a light blue background. So you have to play around with this and then go look at it and then come back and play around to get the right color scheme. So this is where, and just so you can see what I'm talking about. So see, mine's like a light blue and then dark blue words or whatever. So
Right.
this is where you edit that.
Okay.
You can adjust, there's full width and custom. You'll play around with that to see how it looks best on your theme. So mine is full width. The default, I think, makes it a little more, it doesn't go all the way out to the border here. It stops like about right there. And then the auto insert. So this is where you don't have to manually do it every time. So if you enable auto insert, and if you are outlining your content the way I'm teaching you with a few intro paragraphs and then your H2, it will automatically, as you start adding your headings, it'll create the table of contents right before your first H2. It'll just put it there. Like you don't have to do anything. As you make headings, it'll start populating it. So that's what I have it set for both post and pages. Now, if you create like a resource page, like I'm doing the devotionals, which don't have headings or anything, so I disable it in the individual post. So by default, it's going to be there. So if for some reason you create a piece of content and you don't want a table of contents in it, where you're writing the post over on the right side, there is a little block for the table of content. You just disable it for that particular post. But that's pretty much it. The hardest thing is getting your color right, whatever color you want to look good here. Because the way it looks, if you're doing something on Pinterest and then you put it in here, it doesn't quite look the same. So it took me a little bit to get the right shade of blue to match like my palette or whatever.
Okay.
And then that's it. When you create a new post, as soon as you start adding the headings, it'll start populating it right there.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Going once? Going twice?
One more question.
Okay.
And thank you so much for spending all your time helping us with this.
Yeah, no, it's here for.
So obviously, like I said, I write about wellness and fitness and faith. And obviously I do consider like nutrition a big part of fitness. And so I've written some like easy, healthy recipes on my site. But I'm wondering if I should kind of get away from even writing recipes just because there's so many blogs that are specifically healthy recipes. Is that kind of like just a waste of my time?
Recipes are hard because recipe bloggers kind of have the monopoly on that, and ranking recipes. So have you ever looked up a recipe and you're like, could you just get to the recipe already? Right? There's just a lot of them babbling. sucks for the person trying to get the recipe, but that babbling is important for the content for the crawlers, right? But the recipe niche is one of the harder ones to tap into. You need to be like all recipe all day long,
Okay.
or at least a significant part of your content is recipes to do well with it. Like, and if you were going to do that, I would say just do recipes for like 6 to 10 posts before you write anything else. That way it gets that, hey, Google, I'm recipes, right? So if you're going recipe and then you're going like runner shoes and then you're going, it's just like, I don't get it, right? So,
Right.
but yeah, recipes are very, very hard. And I can't, I have one other student, or she's not a student, she's in my membership. She did have a few. And with one of the more recent updates to the core algorithm, she lost quite a bit of ranking. And it was part of that. Like Google's really trying to, it just doesn't like lifestyle blogs. It like wants you to be an established site for something. And although in our Christian stuff, we can mix recipes as its own thing, like finance is its own thing, mental health is its own thing, right? And so those ones are really hard to intermix with other content and be successful. I mean, you could put them there. You just got to know they're not going to get traffic. They would just be supplemental stuff for the traffic you're already getting, right? So now they will do good on Pinterest if you have great pins, but organically speaking, it's kind of an all or none kind of thing. You're either all in or don't do it, or do it and know that nothing's going to fruit from it. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think that I'm like niche down enough? Like, I just have 3 categories now: faith, fitness, and then wellness. You actually recommended this in the Facebook group, and like just using fitness for anything like body related, wellness, anything like mind related, and then faith is anything Jesus related.
Yeah, because I mean, fitness isn't just exercises. I mean, there's more to fitness. And the faith and fitness is a niche. Like there are people who do that, not a lot. So that will be one. So you really want to look at those keywords like faith and fitness and see what comes up and find those and make sure you have content on your site, even if it's like not what you want to write about. That's what's going to get more of those people to you. But yeah, if you just think of it as mind, body, and spirit. So the mind is the wellness, the body is the fitness, and the spirit is the Christian faith stuff, right? Not so much spirit, but your spiritual growth kind of thing, right? And align them that way. So in fitness could, of course, if you did some exercise stuff, the other, like the subscription boxes for runners, that kind of stuff would kind of go in that. And then anything in faith, you need the Bible verses about well-being, Bible verses about like, don't think so much in you giving them spiritual nourishment. Think of how they're things that they would look for. Bible verses about is like the most popular search in the faith searching anything. Bible verses about whatever. So look for Bible verses about fitness, Bible verses about mental health, wellness, mind, body, spirit. There's a lot of search queries under those. And so you need that content to start bringing those people. So the other stuff that you do that may not rank right away, that's how you're getting them to that content, is with that bait content.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming like it's okay because obviously all the things that I write about like fitness and wellness and stuff are from a Christian standpoint. So is it okay for me to be including some scriptures and stuff in there?
Absolutely.
Kind of tying it all together.
Yeah. And that's what makes it unique, because when and I've said this before, I don't know if you were on these calls, but when we Christians search for stuff, whatever we're searching for, we don't add Jesus to the search query unless we're literally searching for something from the Bible. But, how to, something about running or whatever it is. We don't add Jesus in that search query. But when the results come up, we are more drawn to a site that looks like it's faith-based.
Right.
So tying them together is truly going to, now you're going to get some people who are going to ignore the faith stuff, right? And that's where we get that sneaky Jesus in. So if it's just a secular post and you added some scripture, you never know when it rubs off, right? You never know. You're planting those seeds, but you are going to get more of the people who are truly looking to overall bring their body, their health, their mind together from a biblical standpoint. Even though they're not technically searching it that way, that's what they're ultimately looking for. And especially in today's climate, that is a refreshing answer in a search results, to find someone
Right.
speaking about running or speaking about whatever from a biblical view, because that's taboo these days, right? People just don't do that. And so when we
Yeah.
find it, we're like, where have you been all my life? I'm totally going to follow you and not these other mainstream. I'm serious. I've had people tell me this, like, you know, it's a refreshing to see us standing firm in our faith and standing up to the fear of what the world is doing to us right now. Right. And so more and more niche fitness, finance, you know, why is Dave Ramsey so popular? Right. His
Yeah.
money, but it's people who want to go back to Bible basics. And so, but unfortunately, the fear factor has affected too many companies, that even though they were Bible based, they've kind of hidden that because of fear of cancel culture and stuff. So the more of us that do intertwine that, you know, we just make, so side story, I'm a little crazy. My vision when we started this whole Kingdom Bloggers, my members know this. So remember the game Red Rover, like where kids on the playground, they lock arms, right? And you got to barrel through it.
Right.
So we need a Jesus Red Rover on the internet, right? We need to be so intertwined that these crazy people can't break through our bounded arms, right? I told you I'm a little crazy. I think weird stuff sometimes. But that's my visual.
That's good. It sounds good.
And the things that are happening today, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, on the Jesus spectrum, it's not good. And we need the people to stand firm in their faith on the internet and not be afraid of what's to come, because the more of us that stand up helps remove the fear of those who are afraid. And then they're like, well, she did it, I'm going to. And then another, and then another. And then it's like, oh yeah, come at me, devil. Like, what do you got? Right. So what you want to do is definitely intertwine those Bible verses into everything that you write, so that people know that you're not afraid to put Jesus all over the internet and intertwine it into every part of your life and theirs.
That's right.
Yeah. So
like with all that being said,
that's good.
Okay, go ahead.
With all that being said, at the top of my website, like my tagline is Peaches and King, helping Christian women live a healthy and happy life.
Yes.
Do you think that's okay that like it's blatantly helping Christian women live a healthy, happy life?
Sure. Because people aren't coming to your site by way of your header. They're coming by way of the content. And they're going to read the content and take what they want from it. And so back before I was saved, I would read stuff that I knew had biblical context, but I would ignore the Bible verses and just read what I wanted from it. People do that, right? We do that all the time. We read through the nonsense and just get what we want. Yeah. So that's where you're able to also plant seeds in those who weren't looking for a Jesus answer to maybe start picking up, because they really like the secular part of what you're offering. That biblical part they might catch it. You know what I mean? But they're not coming to you by way of your header. They're coming by way of the actual content, the search query, which is generally speaking a secular search query for the two categories. So yeah, leave it. That way people know, hey, this is a Christian site. You're going to get Jesus, whether you want it or not. Like, be careful. It just might rub off on you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes. All right, y'all. Well, it's going on 12 and I got to go find a rat trap. So that will be all. I'll try to get this uploaded sometime this afternoon to the Facebook group. And then next week will be at 12 o'clock instead of 10. But yeah, if y'all have anything else, just post it over in the Facebook group and I'll see if I can answer it.
Thank you.
All right, have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.